now is likely just to the west of the Double Shoals community, and that's what we're going to be tracking right now. Let's zoom in even closer, take you street level. I want to name off some of the streets that are going to be in this area because Polkville, you're right now needing to make sure that you are in your safe place. That's going to be the same case for Lawndale, Double Shoals. I would avoid travel on 226. That's going to be heading right over 226 here very momentarily. Kingston Road going to be seeing some impacts from this. Union Church Road up towards Oak Grove, Clover Hill, Church Road, Delight, the community of Delight. Make sure that you are also taking shelter at this time. Zooming in just a little bit closer, it looks like we've got Charlie Elliott Road, also Ola Drive, and Crowder Ridge Road. So those are a couple of the roads and town names that are in direct impacts at this time. And as this continues to work its way off towards the north and east, again, we are expecting those impacts as far north as Hickory, and you are within that tornado warning polygon. We also have 321. So not only do we have I-40, but 321. So if you're traveling around the Hickory area and are typically taking 321, of course, we're talking about the afternoon hours. So not too far from now, we're going to be picking up the kids from school. If you typically are running those afternoon errands, now is the time that we want to make sure that we're avoiding travel at this time as this continues to work off towards the north and east. So looking at velocity again, this looks fairly broad at this time, but where we're seeing that potential again would be just to the west of Double Shoals. And also, as I mentioned before, whether or not these winds are spinning in a circle or blowing straight, damage can be done. You know, a couple days ago we had some of those severe thunderstorm warned storms that ended up producing some really strong winds. We had large old trees get knocked down. We had a lot of power outages, and that was from strictly a severe thunderstorm warning. And this is a tornado warning. So we do have that potential again for a tornado with this system. And I'm going to again name out some of those towns in the way. We've got Shoops Ford, we've got Henry, Johnstown, Bellwood, Double Shoals, Newhouse, Duncan's Creek. Those are a couple of the areas. So let's zoom out. I want to give you guys a big picture of what we're seeing because again, as it stands right now, we only have one tornado warning in the area. And again, that's going to be especially over Cleveland County right now. It's moving just to the north of Shelby, and will continue to make its way up towards I-40 in the Hickory area as the same area that you just had that severe thunderstorm warning issued not too long ago either, and then they ended up adding that tornado warning to it. But you'll notice, look off to the south and west of Charlotte. I'm talking about the Chester area. We also do have some heavy rain here. We've got some of these stronger storms as well. So in between York and Blackstock, right through Chester County in the south end of York County, South Carolina, we've got some strong gusty storms there. We've got some really heavy rain, and that is right over 321, and that's going to be making its way towards I-77 south of the Charlotte Metro here shortly. We also do have these downpours here. So let's talk about Concord, to the north and east of Monroe, north and east of Wadesboro, so portions of Anson County, Stanley County. You're about to see some rain as well. These are non-severe, but they have been able to produce wind gusts up to 40 miles an hour. And of course, this is just the start of what we're expecting to become very active for this afternoon. So I did want to give you just another general look at radar right now. We do not have any tornado warnings or severe thunderstorm warnings, and we do not have any watches in place for the Charlotte metro area, but we do have that tornado warning to the north and west, and that's of course why we wanted to go ahead and cut into coverage to make sure that our neighbors in these communities can know what's going on. And of course, if your power does end up going out, if we start to see any tree damage, power lines down, you can always watch us on our First Alert weather app. So if you haven't downloaded that already, that's going to be a good call. You want multiple ways to hear warnings today. Charge up your devices, make sure everything's charged up. That way if the power goes out, you can still watch us. So you can still watch us on wbtv.com/live, and you can also still watch us from that WBTV First Alert weather app. I'm going to go ahead and bring this back to where we can see that auto warning and get you an idea of where this warning is at this time. So bear with me for 1 second as I flip my screen around just so that we can get another idea of how long this warning is going to be in place for. Again, it is 1:31, so we are just beyond 1:30. This is going to go for another 15 minutes, and you can see the areas included. This is radar indicated rotation, and as I have that on the screen, I'm over here looking with the National Weather Service and seeing if they have any updates, not only on this tornado warning, but some of the storms that we have that I just showed you there on radar. So it looks like they are coordinating with the Storm Prediction Center on a potential tornado watch for portions of the area. So stay tuned for that. We'll let you know if a watch is issued. And let's see here. We do have that strong storm, so as I mentioned, in southwestern Mecklenburg County, Union, Chester, York County. So the storms I just showed you, those are on the strong side. So those can produce some strong gusty winds, not severe just yet. What I'm also going to be doing here on this side computer is trying to see if we can get a good view of some of these storms. I know we've got Lincolnton. You are just off to the east of where we have this tornado warning polygon, but you may start to see some rain. Certainly it looks dark, likely looking out towards the west. So I'm going to pull up a vantage point here, and then I'll show you guys what we're seeing, at least from Lincoln County, looking out towards that area here. Let's go ahead and pull that up for you real quick. Stand by. And I know we have, of course, Maureen O'Boyle with us as well, and she's been checking on things, and I'm not sure if you have any updates for us. Have you seen any reports come in?
I have not, but we do want to remind people that some school districts were going to be releasing early. It's kind of difficult right now because when you look at this, Rachel, as you are tracking where this radar indicated tornado was, some of these schools are releasing right about now. So we are sure that they are staying on top of that. But we do know Ash High School, Catawba County Middle and High Schools were expected to let out at 3:30, as well as Catawba Elementary School. They were going to dismiss, though, at 2:30. The good news is Hickory Public Schools and Iredell Statesville Schools will end their day an hour early. We do expect that to be just beyond this time frame. But anybody who was to go pick up students, we are checking with those districts right now. I would imagine they're going to shelter right where they are as this warning was issued, just as that bell was supposed to ring. We're calling right now, though, Rachel.
That's great information. Thank you so much, Maureen. Of course, we are watching this from all angles for you guys. We're going to let you know if we have any updates, any reports come in. And if you guys do have any damage reports that you can safely pass along, we'd really appreciate that. Not only so we can let you guys know what's going on with these storms, but also we can pass that information along to the National Weather Service, and that helps in the warning process as well. So taking you back to reflectivity again, the area where we're going to see that potential for rotation, again, still looking pretty broad at this time. I'm not seeing a very tight couplet. Typically what we look for is some of that spin and that rotation in these storms, and sometimes that can be very, very tight. You see those really bright shades of green, really bright shades of red coupled right up against each other. Not seeing that right now, but the potential is there. And Maureen, I know you said you potentially have an update for us.
We sure do. We want to let parents know that Catawba County Schools told us just now they are going to shelter in place until this tornado warning expires. And when is that expected to expire again?
So this is going to be expiring here in about 10 minutes. So 1:45 unless they decide to extend it. But of course, we will let you know if that does end up occurring.
All right, Rachel, thank you. That's, again, Catawba County Schools will hold the kids where they are until this expires. We continue to ask you to always be safe when you are trying to share any kind of weather updates with us if you do take photographs. Let's drill down. Can you want to walk us through again, Rachel, what you're tracking here?
Absolutely. So here's that zoomed out view again. Charlotte, you do not have any warnings in place for your area, but I am watching those storms. So right over Gaston County and then down to the west of I-77 in Chester, York counties. We've got to watch those storms, but we do have this tornado warning that is in effect for Burke, Caldwell, portions of Catawba County, western Lincoln County. That's what we're watching right now. Just some showers up towards the mountains. In fact, looks like we have a view from King Street. This is in Boone, so you do not have any severe thunderstorm warnings in place. This is just rain for now. That doesn't mean that you don't see severe weather later, so don't let your guards down. Rain is certainly helpful. We would prefer to see rain and clouds over the sunshine that we're seeing on the south end of that warm front that's lifting north through the state, but we still do want to keep a close eye on any of the showers and storms that move through our area so far this afternoon. So Morganton, you are just to the west of where we have this tornado warning polygon in place right now. So you're not included, but you're pretty close. And I'll go ahead and make sure that we're avoiding travel on I-40. We've got the interstate there. I know we've got lots of schools between where we have that potential area of rotation moving off towards the north and east, kind of on the county lines at this point, working its way up towards the Hickory area. So this warning is going to go until 1:45. And as I mentioned before, just in case you're just now tuning in, I would go ahead, even if you have no warnings in place, make sure you have your alerts turned on loud on that First Alert Weather app. Of course, the weather radios, those are going to be a super helpful tool as well to make sure you can hear those warnings even if the power goes out. That's going to be really important today, because if you don't have a warning now, that doesn't mean that's not going to be the case later on this afternoon and evening. In fact, I'm going to show you a future cast here, and I want to take you hour by hour in terms of what radar could look like going forward from here. And you'll notice we've been having these discrete cells is what they call them. These storms are out on their own. This isn't like a line of storms moving through. We've got that warm front lifting north, which can almost be a focal point of where we can see some of that spin in the atmosphere, and we can have these discrete cells really tap into the atmosphere environment that we have around us, and we certainly have the ingredients that we're looking for, not only for damaging wind gusts, but large hail and even that potential for a few tornadoes across the region. So as we work our way through time, we have the storms that are moving through now, but we won't be done with the rain just yet. Notice how coverage really picks up from west to east. We still have to get that cold front to push through the area, and that's not going to be until later tonight. So you can see on your futurecast there right on your screen, it's going to be a while before we're done with the threat. So it's probably not going to be until about 9 o'clock where that threat, at least locally across the Piedmont area, starts to dwindle down. And of course, it'll be earlier for some of our foothill and mountain communities. But we'll want to make sure that we're staying weather aware. So I'm going to take you guys back over to radar and get an updated look at what we're seeing with the storm right now. So the area of concern now making its way to the north of the Bellwood community. We're going to flip this over to velocity. And again, I'm not seeing a very strong signature at this time of rotation. Again, looking for those really bright shades of red and green right next to each other, indicating some tight rotation. And I'm just not seeing that right now. So that's the good news there. However, still seeing some brighter shades of color there on your screen, especially the green north and west of Bellwood. So as I mentioned before, whether or not we have a tornado, this is producing some really strong winds. This exact same storm was severe thunderstorm warned before it was tornado warned. So we can still talk about some damaging wind gusts knocking down trees and power lines, and that's going to be something that we're watching for. And Maureen, I'm looking over to this side. Did you have an update? Or
no, we don't yet, but we have heard from those schools, and most of the schools are aware of this tornado warning, which is good news.
That is definitely good news, and that's what I'm hoping for. You know, we've had this first alert in place since the start of the week, since on Monday, and we wanted to give you guys lots of time to prepare and make sure that we had multiple ways to hear warnings before today arrived. So it's really good to know that everyone's listening in, paying attention, and of course, if you have some friends or family within this tornado warning polygon from Bellwood all the way up towards Hickory there into the south and east of Lenore there in southeastern portions of Caldwell County, go ahead and give them that heads up that we are certainly going to be dealing with that potential for some rotation and that potential for a tornado. So I'm going to just put this, let's see here, it's moving to the north and east at 55. I'm really just going to put this on the leading edge to give you really an advanced warning out ahead, and even pushing this a little bit beyond that tornado warning polygon to give you a good heads up in terms of when we could see some of those impacts. So Pleasant Grove about 140. We're going to be looking at some impacts around Hickory, so that's just beyond 150. And again, that would also include the I-40 corridor. We just want to avoid travel. Even if this is not producing a tornado, could produce some really strong winds. So think about semi-trucks driving down the interstate at high speeds with a very strong, if not severe storm making its way over the interstate. That's going to be very, very dangerous at that time. That's why we want to avoid travel. So Hickory just before 155. St. Stephen's, you're looking at about 157. Dudley Shoals, about 201. Little River, you're looking at about impacts at about 2:04 p.m. as this continues to work off towards the east. So there's the latest look at those ETAs, and we'll zoom back in. I want to, especially since this is now kind of crossing county lines, so we're talking about multiple counties seeing these potential impacts. That's going to be over 10. The Ramsey, there's Dirty Ankle Road right along the county line up towards Pleasant Grove. That's where we're seeing some of these concerns, not only for that potential area of rotation, but also just some really heavy rainfall. This is not an opportunity to go outside and try to look. I would make sure that we're in the innermost part of our home. And again, even if you don't have a basement, that's okay. Just go to the lowermost part of your home, innermost. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. I'm hearing that we have another update, so pardon me as I go ahead and turn off our alerts here. And we're going to zoom back out. I'm going to look with the National Weather Service. It does look like we have a new severe thunderstorm warning, and that's going to be including the Charlotte Metro. This makes sense. So if you were tuning in with us a couple minutes ago, we were talking about this storm that was really paralleling 321 in York and Chester counties. This is now approaching 77, still in York County, but this is going to be heading up towards Charlotte. So afternoon plans here, we're going to want to make sure that we are off the roadways, in our shelter as well. We're really going to want to make sure that we're staying weather aware, treating each warning, whether it is a severe thunderstorm warning or a tornado warning, the same, staying away from any windows and outside walls, just in case we see the tree damage. We had that the other day, and we had some pretty significant damage from those storms. So let me flip this back over. We're going to go ahead and put the warning on. I'm going to give you some more details with this storm, and so you can look at your screen there. That severe thunderstorm warning. Thank you, Maureen. Maureen's helping me out behind the scenes here, turning off the alerts. So that severe thunderstorm warning is going to go until 2:30. So this includes portions of Gaston County. We got Mecklenburg County included in this, and York County. So right now, this is not a tornado warned storm, but I'm going to get into the details of that warning and see if they are watching for any potential there of rotation. It doesn't look like they are at this time. It looks like 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts, quarter-size hail are going to be the main concerns with this storm that's approaching the Charlotte metro area. And this is moving off to the north and east at also 55 miles an hour. So these are moving pretty quickly here. So now I can go ahead, update that ETA tracker for you, and take this all the way into the Charlotte metro to give you a heads up as to when we can anticipate some impacts here. Of course, you've got some rain right now right along that Gaston and Mecklenburg County line, traveling out towards Tega Cay. If you're living in Tega Cay, I'd imagine you're seeing some of these showers right now. That's not the portion of the storm they're concerned with. It's going to be this area where we have some of that pink shading there, indicating that potential for some of that large hail. So here are some updated ETAs. Newport 145, and of course it's 142. So in 3 minutes, if they don't extend that tornado warning that we broke on air for, that will expire here shortly. We'll let you know, but certainly by 145, Newport could be seeing some damaging wind gusts, some large hail. That's going to be a possibility. Tega Cay, you're not that far behind. Looking at about 150. Carowinds, so we're talking about the Carowinds area in southwest Charlotte. That's going to be 157, pretty close to that North Carolina, South Carolina state line, also including the I-77 corridor, making its way up towards Madison Park, about 204. Charlotte, just as we approach 210, Mountain Island Lake, so to the south and west of Lake Norman, we'll see impacts around 213. University City, if this holds together, continues at the same speed in that same direction as it works off towards the north and east at 55 miles an hour, University City. So pretty close to UNC Charlotte. That's where we're expecting impacts about 218. So of course we definitely have a lot of schools in this area as well. I am sure there's a ton of parents trying to get out and plan your afternoon plans and picking up the kids from school. It's 143, and of course we're talking about 220-ish at the end of that severe thunderstorm warning, and will likely be the start of many warnings that we see across the area. I definitely want to make sure that we are taking these warnings seriously. So what we're going to do is check in with the National Weather Service and see if there's any updates in terms of trying to reissue that tornado warning downstream, since we're getting so close to the point where it's expiring. And Maureen, do you have any updates?
Well, what we do know is that they have just issued tornado watches. So this is for Alexander, Allegheny, Ash, Avery, Buncombe, Burke, Cabarrus, Caldwell, Catawba, Cleveland, Gaston, Henderson, Iredell, Jackson, Lincoln County, McDowell, Mecklenburg, as you were saying, it's moving this direction, Rowan, Rutherford, and all the way down to Union County and Watauga counties as well. So that's an alphabetical order, but you can see it's much of the WBTV viewing area as it gets towards Mecklenburg County. Why don't you break down for everybody the difference between that warning and the watch, Rachel?
That's a really good idea. And of course, we're still getting that watch to load onto your screen. So we're not seeing all of it in there just yet. So I'm going to take us back over to warnings until our watches come on and give you that big picture. Again, just in case you're tuning in, we've got a tornado warning that's just about to expire, and then we do have a severe thunderstorm warning that includes the Charlotte metro area. Looks like that tornado warning has been let to expire. That's the good news there, but Maureen mentioned it. We have the tornado watch that is now in place. And so the difference between a tornado watch and a tornado warning, those conditions are imminent. We're tracking a storm on radar that has rotation and has that potential to drop a tornado, or we could have a tornado occurring at that time, whether we see that on radar or whether we have spotter confirmation of that. When we have a tornado watch, that means the conditions are favorable, and they are favorable. And we were talking about this here over the past couple of days, ever since Monday. When you start to see these storms kind of on their own, that's a little broken of a line, we don't have a distinct line moving through, they're really able to utilize the ingredients that we have in the atmosphere. We've got the spin, we've got the fuel for the storms, and all of that's come together. We saw sunshine, we've got a warm front. That can really help to initiate that as well. Certainly with storms, we don't really trust those warm fronts. They can definitely be a target zone for that potential of rotation as we continue on through the day. So we have the conditions in place, and we want to make sure that we can all hear warnings. So that tornado watch is going to continue through this evening. If you haven't already, as I mentioned before, this is a really helpful tool. Unfortunately, this is free. You don't have to buy anything. This is a free app. This is a good tool. The WBTV First Alert Weather app, you can find it on Google Play or the App Store. So what we do on this app, of course, you have our forecast that we put in for all of our areas from the mountains all the way through the Piedmont, but we also are able to send you guys warnings. So if you know that you're going to be traveling around here over the course of the next few hours or so, you can have that location on the app follow you, and that way if you do end up having a warning issued for your area, you're going to know about it. And of course, we send updates as well. So now that we do not have a tornado warning in progress, but we do have that severe thunderstorm warning in progress, we're going to go ahead and return you to regularly scheduled programming. But the team is here. We're watching things for you. We're going to keep you posted. If we do end up having more warnings issued, we're going to let you know about them all the way through the rest of the evening. See you guys later.